Thank you so much all for coming. We begin our Affirmative Action Commission meeting for January 3rd, 2019. Let's start off with, I move a motion to approve the minutes of our October 4th, 2018 minutes. Do I have a motion?
I move.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Harry. Thank you. And unfortunately, so sorry, Scott, I was not able to make it for November 29th meeting, which was, I think, also held here, along with a few guests from the Civil Service Commission. And as we did not have quorum at that time, we do not have minutes to present at this moment in time.
Yep.
So if we move forward, Scott, and all of fellow commissioners, our new business here is the review of the application flow for the firefighter applicants.
Yep.
Scott, if you can help us.
Okay, so we do have currently the applicants for firefighter. The applications have closed, so we had 205 applicants. Right now, we're in the minimum qualification phase of that. So far, if you can notice on and I'm on the NeoGov document with the data, 6 individuals have already been disqualified because they didn't meet the minimum qualifications, or they were disqualified due to various reasons, and I've already looked into those. And of those reasons, we had 2 that had OWIs within the past a year or 2, so that's a disqualifier, of course. We had 3 that had 3 or more traffic violations within a certain amount of time, so those, of course, are disqualifiers. We had 1 that disclosed soft drug usage within the last 36 months. So we had 6 individuals that have already been disqualified. The breakdown of those, 5 male whites and 1 male Hispanic. So of those, so now we're at the phase of the CPAT, which is the terminology for, it's called the, and I have that in front of you, it's another document, the Candidate Physical Ability Test. So it's called CPAT for short. So you have a full document on all of the components of that. That is actually the next component that those applicants will have to complete. And that includes the stair climb, the hose drag, the equipment carry, the ladder raise and extension, the forcible entry, the search, the rescue, and the ceiling breach and pull. And these, all of these testings are done out at the fire department's training facility, which is the old Wacky Waters out on Northwest Boulevard, way out there. Yeah.
When we did that MOU.
Oh,
Davenport,
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of you seen it.
Yeah.
So what I would like to at least share with you, so it's next Friday and Saturday. So a week from tomorrow and Saturday, so January 11th and 12th, that's when the candidates will be doing their CPAT test. I encourage you, if you've not seen it, I encourage you to go out there. You're able to go out and watch them do it. Throughout the entire, you can follow a candidate around as they go from test site to test site, just so you can experience what they go through, what one of the components, one of the requirements is of being a firefighter.
Do we have to give notice if we're going to go
If you would
see
just
that?
let me know, so
Okay.
I can at least let the Chief Carlson and his staff know that members of the commission will be out there, just so they know. And then they will also be able to provide specific guidance to you as well on kind of what's going on.
So what time is it?
So the time is, Friday, January 11th, from 4:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. So that's kind of a window there. You could stop out between 4:30 and 7:30 on that Friday. And then Saturday, January 12th, it's from 7:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m.
Is there an age limit for people who can watch this?
That's a good question. I wouldn't think so, because it's a well-protected site. I don't think they would, you're talking about your children?
Yeah, or a group of kids, maybe.
Let me just, let me ask that particular question, get back to you. Very good question. But it's an incredibly great opportunity to see, kind of one of the testing sites, how they go through it. And like I said, it's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different tests within that they have to do.
If I remember right, Scott and Vera, because you were also at the Davenport University, which the city does, is it almost, I mean, I know this would be intense, is it almost similar to the practicals that we were able to do? Because I remember I was able to do this, wear the uniform, go into the lighted
Probably
house.
some of it, yeah.
They'll do intense, of course.
Mhm.
This was just
Yep.
a show, I mean, a test for us. And it was really, really interesting because,
Yeah.
that's when I realized I couldn't drag anything inside.
Yeah, and a neat thing, they did, back in December, they did a live practice where they invited everyone who applied to come out and to try it.
Oh.
But the nice thing that happens with that live practice, if by chance they pass, that then counts. They can use that for the live practice.
Oh.
So
Oh,
why would,
when
if,
they
as a
apply.
candidate, why would you
Not do that.
do that? Because
Yeah,
you give yourself a
exactly,
chance to actually pass it. And if you do, great. If you don't, you miss the hose drag. Well, I got to work on that hose drag because that's what dragged me down the last time. So then they have another opportunity. So if you pass the practice, you don't have to come to the actual test because you've already
That's
passed.
awesome.
So that's kind of a nice component.
Scott, with this on Friday and Saturday, so does that mean that if they fail one of these Friday, they can come back on Saturday?
No. No.
They're done.
Nope.
They're done.
They only can come back if they do that practice.
Practice.
That's just the practice. So if they don't pass, they still have this opportunity in January. But on these when it's a live testing, nope, they don't pass, they're out.
Done.
Yeah,
Now-
it would only make sense to do the practice.
Practice
It
test,
is, it is,
yeah.
it is, it makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
So prior to this time, they've been coached or
Mhm.
able
There's-
to practice?
They've got this same information. There's YouTube videos out there that go through every single step. There's been an orientation on this whole practice because, we want our candidates to be successful because all of these testings mimic actual components that they're going to face if they're actually a firefighter.
Oh, wow.
So great opportunity. I will get the age restriction or find out if there is any age restrictions. But if you can attend, that'd be awesome. It's just a great
Could
eye-opening.
you just post that? Because I think that's a great idea
Yeah.
to take, and I might see if a
Yeah.
couple of my grandkids.
I'll email the entire commission about that.
And I've started to
Yeah.
think when you said Scott practice again, it's better to know if it's okay to do that. But
Mm-hmm.
when we are talking about the age group for these applicants to come in, like it's 21 plus, right? If I remember right, they should be a graduate and 21 plus.
No, it's 18.
Oh, 18. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
This fire department's different than the police department, yep.
So I am thinking, the high school kids here, if they are allowed.
I'm sorry, 21, at time of appointment.
21, at the
Oh,
time
okay.
of entry, at
Yeah.
the time of entry.
They don't need the college.
So is it something that
That's right.
with the help of with the help, and again, this is just a thought I'm throwing at all of us here, with the help of Davenport Public Library, let's say. Why do I say Davenport Public Library? Is because Scott Community College is now their source for studies and things like that. If students from, let's say, Scott Community College, let's say, okay, I mean, it can be Amherst too, or WIU too, etc. Is it to encourage people to apply? Would they be permitted to come for these practice tests to see, this is what it entails. I mean, there is a written test. There
Yeah.
is, I mean, I don't know. I
Possibly,
want to kind
yeah.
of,
Mhm.
put it in such a way that how do you make it attractive for the youth or the talent to apply to these things? This is what we do. This is how you are trained. and
Like making
this is
it
what
a
you
part
get.
of the pre-application
No,
process,
no,
kind of?
no, just kind of throw it open to these colleges that we have a practice session or whatever we might call it, and students are invited, those interested in firefighting career are invited to come view, I mean, how do you encourage people to apply? How do you encourage people to come in to see what's all done?
Yeah, I think you probably need, the reason I ask, because I think if I can get some young people together, you need to do it before college, before high school.
You're right.
They need
You're
to
right.
know
Yeah.
what it is, and they know how to be, why PE is important, all
Right.
this stuff would
Right.
help them understand, so when they do get to that college level, they can say, hey, I do
Right.
want to pursue this, because you're losing people for policemen and firemen way before college. You're
Oh,
losing
that's
them
true as well.
before
They
high
need to
school.
Change the
Yes.
curriculum for PE too.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
if
So
we're
people can
gonna
see.
make the two,
Yeah.
coincide,
Yeah.
then they would need to change the curriculum for it because you have a lot. It's really sports focused.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like not
Physical
fitness,
fitness.
not physical fitness and everyday life focused.
Right.
You have like a pull-up test and another test, and you do that like once a quarter. But other than that, you spend each quarter
Yeah.
of PE focused on a sport. So if we would change that, then it would be more
Right.
relevant towards what they're going to do afterwards, because not everybody's an athlete, but that's
Right.
kind of what you force in gym class.
And Iowa's PE is very different from Illinois.
Right.
So
That's true. And I agree with what you just said, because that's what I was wondering about the high school part also. Like they have career counseling and things like that the counselors do. So is it something that the school counselors could be, I won't say held responsible, but we could share it with them if they want
Definitely.
to forward it to the student
Yeah.
to encourage. So
Yeah.
that's a great idea.
Great idea, yep. So I'll get that information and email it out to the commission on that. You can see, at least on the breakdown, we do have some, 15 Black and African Americans, 16 Hispanics, 4 Asians, 6 American Indian or Alaska Native, or at least that's what they're disclosing. So we do have some diversity. Hopefully at the end, at the final list, also has some diversity. The
Yes.
component that we're always working towards.
Right.
Looks like only 3.
So on the bottom, it says exam overall. What is that? What does that mean?
That's just where everything's at right now. I
Okay,
think.
at this point.
Yes.
Okay.
And I know that there were a couple duplicate applicants. They put in 2. I think when people were inputting their information, they inputted 2 applications for the same position. So there's some
The numbers are off. A little
numbers
bit.
are a little bit goofy.
Oh, okay.
But as we get farther in the process, I'll have much clearer data on that. And then the gender breakdown is on the other side of your sheet, the back side. We had 12 females that had applied. So again, trying to increase that gender diversity, it's a tough sell getting females to realize that they can be firefighters in a pretty good position. So that's a process that's ongoing. Of course, the police department doesn't start until March of next year. So I'm just,
2020?
no, 19. No, this March.
Oh,
I say
March
that?
of-
You said March of
next
next year.
Wrapped up.
I'm still in 2018. I'll get here. I'm holding on to 18 for some reason. I don't know why. So the police department, we won't do online applications until March.
Oh, okay.
But more information will be coming out around that, and also the applicant workshops that we do
Right.
with them. We'll probably do
Okay.
at least 3, maybe 4 applicant workshops. They could start as early as end of February, but mostly it'll be in March.
And if I might add, Scott, the applicant workshops that Scott mentioned about, I remember I've gone to a few of those, and they are really interesting, because the simple reason is you get to hear what the applicant is asking, and we also get to hear what we are trying to share with them, in encouragement. So I'd gone to
And,
Duck Creek
yeah.
once and the library. It's pretty
So
interesting.
they're pretty powerful. They really give interested individuals kind of a front row seat of what the requirements are, what the process is going to be, and it's a 4-month process. And this is what it takes. And they get to hear from actual officers that just had graduated the academy, and from veteran officers too. But one thing, Chief Sikorsky got back from the FBI Law Enforcement Academy about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and in conversations with a bunch of other chiefs and other law enforcement professionals when he was out in that training, there's a lot that don't do the applicant workshops. They were very interested in what we do with the applicant workshops. So that was kind of felt good that, hey, we're doing something that other people are saying, oh wow, that's kind of a neat idea. It's a neat, I think we're going to try that too. So, again, I think it's just we're trying to position ourselves to really cast our net wide when it comes to what we're doing, and we hope we can get our arms around a good group of applicants.
A thing that came to mind, Scott, as you mentioned, and if you don't mind me sharing with all of you, is a while back, I think it was 2 years ago or so, the process, as Scott mentioned, the application, online application, etc. But they also had, we also had interviews where selected candidates were interviewed. There were 4 or 5 from the police department. And I was one of the others who was an outsider, not a police person, but as and I felt, again, I understand that there are time limits and, the many things that are involved in making this happen. But the reason I felt comfortable was I was able to talk with every single individual who was, the applicant.
These are real applicants or
Yeah,
mock?
No, real applicants.
Oh, okay.
Real applicants. So we were able to talk to them, get to know their mental makeup, and the comfort level, I mean, me as a citizen as well, the comfort level that I had, and the discussions that we had thereafter. But again, I know it entails a lot of planning and organizing, but that's how
Yeah.
we had gone through, and I really had enjoyed that process where, you could sit on that.
Before
interview.
let's go to the discussion
Oh.
of vice chair positions
Let's
before
do that.
Shonda leaves.
Yes, before she leaves, yes,
So the reason that's on there is, per our ordinance, city ordinance on the Affirmative Action Commission, it says you shall have a chairperson and a vice chair. Essentially, the vice chair would act as the chair in the absence of the chair at a meeting. So if Malavika couldn't be here, then the vice chair would chair the meeting essentially. And then eventually, if people desired, the vice chair would probably move into the chair position at a future time. That's kind of the ascending order. But that's not set in stone. That doesn't necessarily that has to happen that way, but it could. So we do need to have someone on the commission be a vice chair. So I guess I would accept self-nominations, or I would accept nominations of someone else around the table. Or a discussion about that. Does anyone have an interest?
And I started off, I'm not kind of dragging anything here, but I started off where I remember, it was just, okay, Malika, and I liked it. I jumped into it. I was the vice chair. I was the vice chair at that time, and then got into it, and it was a learning process. I had to ask him a lot of questions.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But it was really nice to kind of, rope into
So
it.
any
So
discussion, any
anybody-
interest on someone being a vice chair?
Vera, Ari, Bob.
I would do it if no one else did, or I would support anybody else.
I nominate Bob as a vice chair, based on that
second.
statement.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Ari.
I live close to
Thank
you.
you,
so I-
Vera. There.
So there we
And
have
I
it.
live
And
close to
Shonda,
Vera. I
thank
live kind of
Yeah.
between the two of you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we got that. Okay,
All right, y'all.
you have to take off.
I do.
Good to see you.
Thanks.
Did you get your email on that other position about the next?
I did. I have
Testing?
testing on Monday.
Okay.
Yes.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Best wishes.
Thank you. See y'all later.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Having done our discussion on vice chair position, let's move on to the next business, which is our old business, inclusion and equity plan.
Yep, so you all have a
Scott?
copy of that. So if you remember right, this was the plan that back in the day used to be called the Affirmative Action Plan for Equal Employment Opportunity. We had a lot of discussion about the name, but the name was changed to Inclusion and Equity Plan. Back in March, the plan was approved by the commission. And at that time, it was my understanding that it had to then go to council for approval from the council. And of course, that would have laid out a several-month process after it went through senior leadership and then to council. But maybe a month and a half ago, in conversations with our legal department, no, the affirmative act, this plan does not need council approval. It's an internal document that will be shared with council and all entities. It'll be posted on our website about how we kind of approach affirmative action. How do we want to become an inclusive and equitable employer? So it essentially just needs approval of the Affirmative Action Commission, and then it will be signed off by our city administrator, our director of HR, Malavika as chairwoman, and then myself. So the only two differences on this particular plan that you have is the dates on the front. It did say, I think 2018, probably 2019 on the one back in March. This one says 2019, 2020, because it's a two-year plan. And then on page 10, or it's the data chart that you see almost to the last page, page 8, that is up-to-date data from September. If you remember that, we had the discussion about I had to go in and update a lot of the employee demographics of the data once we found that a lot had not disclosed. We didn't know if they were Caucasian or African American or Hispanic. So these numbers are current as of September. And I'm thinking probably at least quarterly, I'll be able to use this as kind of a benchmark and include changes. So to kind of be kind of a visualization of, how are we improving on the diverse makeup of our employees. Because we've got some gaps.
Yeah.
We've got some departments that have exactly zero diversity.
Yeah.
okay, at least when it comes to racial or ethnic. We have gender diversity, I think, in just about every area. But if we're looking just at racial or ethnic, we've got some work to do. We're making some strides, but so as far as the plan goes, those are the only two changes, the dates on the front, and I updated all the data on page 8.
Scott,
So that's-
what would be the next step for us? Because I remember what you mentioned. You updated that, and the first time that we had a tiny bit of changes. I think it was Mike who was there at that time, and we had made tiny bit of changes in it, and you had updated all those. What would be our next step? Is it something that needs a committee formal approval?
I think
How does it go?
I think at this point, with the updated data in the plan, I think I would probably, from a process standpoint, I think we should approve it again, because it's, so we can solidify this. And then I'm gonna get your signature tonight, and I gotta get Corey's and Mallory's signature. Then this can be posted on our website.
Okay.
Then it can be a working document.
Okay.
And then, of course, it's still a working document. If we come across any changes that need to be made, or some addition action items that we need to put in there, we definitely can.
Okay.
But at this point, I think we do
Do need to get it
just
done?
from a process standpoint, let's just say this is
Okay.
it.
Okay, so, what I understand, and if I might repeat for all of us, is, yes, we need to sign it at this moment in time, but if we do have any questions or any updates to it, they can be officially made. That won't be,
Yeah,
there
yeah.
won't be a problem for you or anybody that
No,
needs to.
this
Okay.
is, since it's more of a, now, if it was a document that was gonna go for council approval, then that adds another layer of
Okay.
process. But it doesn't have to, it's more of us and city leadership, so we're good.
So would you like us, I'm sorry, Vera.
No, I
Go
was
ahead.
going, how long Mallory been the director?
Oh, HR? Oh, has it been over a year?
Is it?
Yeah. Because I can't remember exactly when Dawn Sherman
Don
left.
Sherman, yeah.
She got hired back in her hometown up
Right.
near Dubuque.
Yeah, I heard about that,
And
but I
then-
didn't know she.
Oh,
had
wow.
left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Mallory's been HR
Yeah.
One
at
year.
least
Oh,
probably
wow.
a year or so.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't have the actual
It
date.
goes fast, yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah. So, is there a time that you would like us to get back to? Because we will be meeting next in the month of March now. So
Mhm.
is there a certain time that you would like us to get back to you with, if there's anything that we need to?
well, since
point out.
since it's a working document, anytime, any changes,
So I'd
Yeah.
like to make a motion that we approve the document as is, as a working document, and maybe, like you said, to post it to the
Yep.
website.
and as soon as I get the signatures, it'll be scanned into and posted on our website.
Okay,
It'll update the 2013, 2014 one that's there now.
yes.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a motion to second?
That's all.
Sorry. Thank you, Vera.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bob.
I was,
Sorry.
excuse me, I was just gonna I had two other quick points.
Go ahead.
With that, when you post that, is there space that you can then leave for comments or remarks by somebody that sees it? Or is there some place?
I don't think so, but I could be wrong, I guess, because I know our
Or-
website has a lot of documents posted on it, but I don't think it has
Or
a
would we be?
comment section.
I'm just thinking, if we're trying to be inclusive, and we look
Is that
at it
something
from
that
one
could be
point of
built
view.
into? Yeah.
Right, somebody else might. And then just another brief thing, talking about our history and if we're making progress. And being older and being around for a long time in relationships with the city, there's a lot of employees with the city, I think, that have been with the city a long time. I'm just wondering if there's any correlation, if the newer hires are more diverse, or the number of applicants are more diverse than there used to be. I mean,
That's a
you
good
know,
question, yeah.
our percentages may still remain overall the same, but we may be making more contacts and outreach, and when the next wave leaves,
Sure.
we couldn't all of a sudden take a giant jump.
Yeah.
I mean, or are we still not getting to the people the right way?
I would think just from I would think as a community, as we get more diverse, yeah, I would imagine that our applicants have gotten more diverse over the years as well. I would think,
That's what I was
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
that's what I was wondering.
but that's a good question.
And just kind of the natural attrition, you would see something, but I think that's kind of what we're looking at, to see if that is actually happening or
Because
not happening.
if it is, then we are doing some things right.
Correct.
And hopefully it'll continue to get better. And then at some point in time, it's going to take a jump when that group retires or leaves or that type of situation.
Good point, Spot. I do have two things for other business, just because we, on January 11th, we'll be posting 2 additional positions at the police department. So people that are interested in public safety or law enforcement, but they don't want to be an actual police officer, they could become a crime scene technician. So we're going to have a position open for that. And then also a police services generalist. And as soon as I have the job descriptions for those 2 positions, I will share those. That will kind of lay out the qualifications and the job duties, because I don't have all of that information at this particular point. But again, 2 additional opportunities at the police department.
What was the second,
What-
police?
yeah. Just a
Police
second.
services generalist.
What did that?
He said he has to, he'll.
Yeah,
once
they
he gets
don't-
the
Oh,
thing.
you don't know.
Not quite sure, exactly. I think
Okay.
they probably work within the records department, I think. But it's probably one of those as other duties as assigned.
Are these new positions or is somebody leaving?
No, someone had, we had 1 retiree and then 1 moved away.
Moved over.
Yep. So, but as soon as I have those, in the coming week or so, I'll share those with everyone. But
That
again,
would be great.
good opportunities.
I had a student who was interested in something like this,
Oh, sure.
but she left to go to UNI, so
Oh, how dare.
I know. But thank you about this. I
Yeah.
could share it with our
Yeah.
students
Absolutely.
down there.
Mhm.
Yeah, we could. Do we have any other questions? Any other questions? Any other thoughts that we would like to share? No? So, before we adjourn, thank you, Bob, for accepting the vice chairmanship. And thank you, Erie, thank you, Vera, for coming this evening. I move a motion to adjourn our meeting. Do I have?
Second.
Thank you. Scott, as always, thank you.
Okay. Well, thanks, and we'll see how the video worked out, you know. See you.